Hey everybody, Vapologist back again today, and today we're going to take a look inside the Firefly. I've been using the Firefly for concentrates pretty heavily for the past couple weeks, and it definitely needs a little bit of a cleaning, so I thought it would be a good chance to take a look inside. As you can see, the concentrate is collecting on the lid very heavily and then dripping back down onto the body. This is a result of me loading too much and the Firefly not being designed specifically for concentrate use. It works perfectly with concentrates, but this is kind of the downside of the design not being tailored to concentrates. It works, but it can be a mess if you load too much. So don't do what I did and just load small amounts and you should be okay. So with some isopropyl alcohol and a T5 Torx, we can get inside and get this thing cleaned up. Definitely turn it off first and make sure you remove the battery so there's no issues with electrical shock. I also don't recommend that you even do this. This is going to void your warranty and is generally not recommended. If you have a problem with your Firefly, definitely contact Firefly. But I was curious as to what was in there and I needed to clean it, so I thought it'd be a good opportunity to show everybody. But definitely use caution. If you decide to get inside yourself, be careful. After the battery is out, you can remove these two screws, but don't try and pull this piece of plastic out just yet. Okay, now we get a good look at what is actually occurring here. The concentrate's collecting and dripping down onto this. I'm using too much. I know that now. I'm going to try and load smaller amounts from now on and see if the issue goes away. Luckily, everything is fully harvestable and reusable. Okay, to remove the top plate, take the T5 Torx and remove the 5 screws that hold it on. These screws are very small, so be very careful not to lose them. Okay, you can just lift up the steel plate, and my glass heating chamber is actually stuck to it, so we're going to have to pry that off. But you can now see the PCB board and the heating element. Okay, as I said, my heating chamber is stuck to the stainless steel, but you can see that no concentrate has leaked down. The design of this is excellent, and it's definitely prevented anything from contaminating the internals of the unit. As you can see, very dirty, so the O-ring is doing a great job. I'm going to take off the O-ring and clean it separately with some isopropyl alcohol. Be careful not to cut the O-ring at all. The glass I'm going to soak in the alcohol for a few minutes to let everything dissolve. There's still a couple screens attached, but I know that they're probably gummed up, so I'm going to let everything dissolve for a bit. Now we take a close look at the lid and we can see how much buildup there is. I need to get some of this off before I can take the screws out, so let me harvest as much as I can. After the screws are out, just gently tap and the ring that holds the window in should fall out. Because I've been using so much concentrate, the window is actually stuck into the unit, so I'm going to have to pull that out here, but it should just come right off. Clean these carefully in isopropyl alcohol and you should be good to go. Here is the heating element, and you can see that they've really designed the chassis very well that separates the PCB board and battery from the air path, which is fantastic. The white part is ceramic, and so the only thing that your air is hitting is basically the stainless steel mesh, the ceramic, and then the heating element. Definitely a great design. I've had this unit for about a year and only a little bit of particulate has gotten in, so fantastic. Now we can take an overall look at the entire unit. Everything looks very well laid out. And turning it over on the back, we can see the battery terminals and the back side of the PCB board. The mouthpiece has a gasket here that presses against the stainless steel top plate that ensures that the air path has a great seal. Okay, I've gotten everything cleaned. Now it is time to put it all back together. I definitely want to check this top gasket here. I didn't look at this at first, but it looks like it's pretty clean, so I'm just going to let it be. Don't want to mess with it if I don't have to. First step is lay the gasket inside the ring. And you can use a toothpick or any other device to make sure that the gasket is centered properly in the ring. It's definitely vital that you make sure it's as centered as possible. Once it is, go ahead and gently lay the glass on top of it, checking again that the gasket hasn't become dislodged or off center. The ring that holds the window in has a little bump indentation that you can feel, and that feeds into a hole in the top plate, so make sure that you know where that is so that you can align it when you're putting them together. Then reinsert the 3 screws, but again it's important that you check the gasket to make sure that it's still centered, and when you tighten these down, don't tighten them all the way. Just tighten each of them barely snug and then go around and tighten them a little bit more. If you tighten it too much, the gasket could pop out and the glass could break, so definitely make sure you don't tighten it too tight. Okay, the most difficult part, putting the heating chamber back together. Start with a ceramic disc that sits above the heating element, and on top of that goes the black O-ring. Make sure that it's as close to center as possible. On top of this goes the metal disc that has 6 holes, and again make sure that it is as centered as you can get it. And directly on top of this disc, put the screen. I'm using a new screen here because my old one was a little bit tore up. Now we slide the glass crucible down, making sure not to disturb anything that we disassembled. I definitely should have put this O-ring on before I slid the glass down. I got pretty lucky, it went on very easily without disturbing anything, but if you're doing this, I highly recommend you put it on first. Once the O-ring is on, it is ready for the stainless steel top plate to come back. Start with the 3 screws around the heating chamber and leave the bottom 2 near the mouthpiece for later. I'm going to go ahead and put the stainless steel concentrate pad back in. I've used it a lot, but it still looks very clean and fully usable, so I'm going to keep going on it. Definitely want to make sure that it's locked in there. You can see that it wants to pop out, but if you put enough pressure on it, it should grab the glass and hold it. You can reinsert the plastic cradle for the battery and then screw these 2 screws in, and then flip it back over, and then you can put the bottom 2 screws by the mouthpiece in. Okay, that's it. This thing is perfectly cleaned and ready to rock. I've got some blue cheese here that I'm ready to vape up, and this is absolutely my favorite portable device for concentrates now. It takes a little bit to heat up, but once it does, it delivers the absolute tastiest concentrate vape I have found yet that's portable. There is nothing that compares to this. To learn more about the Firefly Vaporizer or any other high-end vaporizer, head over to vaporizersreview.com for more.